Imagine a quiet meditation hall somewhere in America. A former engineer sits beside a young artist. A retired teacher breathes steadily next to a college student. Four people from four completely different worlds, yet they're all practicing something called Buddhism. But here is the fascinating part. They're not practicing the same version of it. Some follow Theravada, the ancient path of insight. Some follow Mahayana, the great path of compassion. And others are devoted to Vajrayana, the powerful path of transformation. Three traditions, three approaches, three visions of awakening, and all of them have somehow taken root in the same country. So how did this happen? How did Buddhism travel halfway around the world, break into three great schools, and then reunite on American soil? And more importantly, what does this blending of traditions mean for anyone searching for clarity, peace, or enlightenment today? In this video, we'll explore how Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana each found their place in America, how they shaped modern spirituality, and how their meeting created a unique chapter in the story of Buddhism. A chapter that's still unfolding right now. Imagine the moment Buddhism first touched American soil. It didn't arrive through a single teacher or a single tradition. It came in gentle waves carried by people, by stories, and by the search for meaning. The first wave began in the mid-1800s when American writers and philosophers discovered Buddhist texts for the very first time. They were fascinated by the ideas of mindfulness, compassion, and liberation from suffering. They had never encountered anything like it. But at that time, Buddhism was still a distant philosophy, something read in books, not something practiced in daily life. Then came the second wave. Immigrant communities from Asia arrived in the United States and brought their living traditions with them. Japanese families built the first Zen temples along the West Coast. Chinese and Vietnamese communities opened Mahayana temples in major cities. And refugees from Thailand, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia carried the Theravada tradition into the heart of American neighborhoods. With every new community, the sound of chanting, the scent of incense, and the quiet discipline of meditation slowly began weaving themselves into American culture. For the first time, Buddhism was not just an idea, it was a lived experience. And then came a third wave. A generation of Western seekers traveled across Asia in the 1960s and 1970s. They sat with Zen masters in Japan, with Theravada monks in Thailand and Myanmar, and with Tibetan teachers high in the Himalayas. When they returned home, they carried not souvenirs, but practices. Breath, silence, awareness. These three waves, philosophy, immigration, and spiritual seeking, created a unique environment where all three Buddhist traditions could grow side by side. And America, for the first time in history, became a place where Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana would not only survive, but meet, interact, and reshape each other in surprising ways. When Theravada Buddhism first arrived in the United States, it came quietly. There were no grand ceremonies, no organized missions, no official teachers sent across the ocean. Instead, it arrived through ordinary people seeking refuge and a new beginning. Families from Thailand, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia brought their traditions with them. They carried more than luggage. They carried chants, rituals, memories of ancient temples, and the discipline of meditation passed down for centuries. What they brought to America was not just a religion. It was a home for the heart. In neighborhoods across California, Texas, and the East Coast, small Theravada temples began to appear. Simple wooden houses were transformed into sacred spaces. Statues of the Buddha were placed on makeshift altars. Monks in saffron robes walked through American streets for the first time, receiving offerings from families who were trying to rebuild their lives. But soon, something unexpected began to happen. Americans, people with no connection to Southeast Asia, started walking through those temple doors. They were curious. They were searching. They heard about a practice that promised clarity, inner calm, and a way to understand the mind. What they discovered was vipassana, insight meditation, a method that doesn't require belief, ritual, or cultural background. Just breath, just awareness, just the courage to observe one's own mind. Theravada teachers emphasized something Americans had been longing for: a direct, practical path toward peace. No elaborate philosophy, no complex doctrine, just the simple training of the heart and mind. And then, everything changed. In the late 20th century, the mindfulness movement exploded. Inspired by Theravada teachings, Western practitioners like John Kabat-Zinn introduced mindfulness-based stress reduction, a program that brought meditation into hospitals, universities, therapy offices, and corporate environments. For the first time in American history, meditation was not seen as foreign, religious, or mysterious. It became scientific, it became therapeutic, it became mainstream. Millions of Americans learned to pay attention to the present moment, to breathe through anxiety, to calm their thoughts, to see their suffering clearly instead of running from it. Theravada had quietly become one of the most influential spiritual traditions in the modern United States. Its strength lies not in ritual or spectacle, but in its honesty, its simplicity, its invitation to look directly at the nature of suffering and the possibility of freedom. Through insight, through mindfulness, through steady practice, Theravada offered America a gift, a clear path to understanding the mind. While Theravada offered America a path of clarity, another tradition was quietly shaping the emotional and spiritual landscape of the country. That tradition was Mahayana, the great vehicle, the path of limitless compassion. Mahayana Buddhism entered the United States through several doors at once. Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese communities brought their temples, their rituals, and their deep devotion to the Bodhisattva ideal. The commitment to help all beings awaken, not just oneself. Across the West Coast, Japanese immigrants built some of the earliest Buddhist temples in America. In San Francisco and Los Angeles, Chinese communities created vibrant Mahayana centers. In the decades following the Vietnam War, Vietnamese families rebuilt their cultural homes through beautifully decorated temples, filled with chanting, incense, and the warm rhythm of community life. These temples did more than preserve culture. They introduced Americans to a completely different vision of awakening, a vision rooted not only in wisdom, but in compassion without limits. And then came Zen. In the 1950s and 60s, Zen Buddhism captured the imagination of American artists, poets, philosophers, and spiritual seekers. People were drawn to its simplicity, its silence, its profound emphasis on the here and now. Zen masters like Shunryu Suzuki and later Thich Nhat Hanh invited Americans to sit, breathe, and touch life directly. No hierarchy, No dogma, just presence. For many Americans, Zen felt like a doorway into themselves, a way to step out of constant thinking and return to the simplicity of being alive. Its aesthetic beauty, its gentle discipline, and its poetic language deeply influenced American culture. Minimalism, mindfulness, martial arts, poetry, and even modern psychology. But Mahayana's influence did not stop with Zen. Pure Land Buddhism brought a message of hope and devotion. The teachings on emptiness helped Americans understand the interconnected nature of life. The Bodhisattva vow, the promise to return again and again to help all beings, introduced a powerful form of spiritual responsibility, something that resonated deeply with activists, healers, and people searching for meaning beyond themselves. Mahayana gave America a spiritual vocabulary of compassion. Words like interbeing, loving kindness, and deep listening entered classrooms, therapy rooms, and daily conversations. Many people who had never considered Buddhism found comfort in its message. You don't walk the path alone. You walk it for all beings. Through temples, teachers, stories, and meditation halls, Mahayana Buddhism offered America more than philosophy. It offered a heart, a reminder that awakening is not only about seeing clearly, but about loving deeply. If Theravada brought clarity to America and Mahayana brought compassion, then Vajrayana arrived carrying something entirely different: transformation. Vajrayana Buddhism, often called Tibetan Buddhism, entered America, not slowly, but suddenly. Its arrival began with a tragedy: the Chinese invasion of Tibet in 1950. When Tibetan monasteries were destroyed and monks were forced into exile, a rich spiritual world that had once been hidden behind Himalayan mountains was suddenly exposed to the entire planet. In 1959, the Dalai Lama fled Tibet, and as he traveled across the world, his gentle presence and profound wisdom captured the hearts of millions. For many Americans, he became the living symbol of peace, compassion, and resilience. But the Dalai Lama was not the only teacher who brought Vajrayana to the West. Lamas from the Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, and Gelug lineages established centers across the United States. They brought with them rituals, chants, mantras, and practices unlike anything Americans had seen before. People were fascinated. The colorful mandalas, the intricate tankas, the powerful chanting of Om Mani Padme Hum, the deep visualizations of deities. It all felt mysterious, profound, and transformative. For seekers who wanted more than just relaxation, for those who longed for a spiritual path that engaged the heart, body, and imagination. Vajrayana felt like a doorway into a deeper dimension of the mind. But with this beauty came challenge. Vajrayana is traditionally taught through close, direct guidance from a qualified teacher. Its practices involve subtle energy, visualization, and deep psychological transformation. It is powerful, but requires understanding, patience, and responsibility. Some Americans misunderstood it as magic. Others rushed into advanced practices without proper foundation. And Tibetan teachers often worried, how can these teachings maintain their depth when removed from the culture that shaped them? Yet despite these challenges, Vajrayana made a remarkable contribution to American spirituality. It taught that emotions are not enemies. They can be transformed. Fear can become clarity. Anger can become courage. Desire can become compassion. Every energy within us, even the painful ones, can be used on the path to awakening. Vajrayana also brought a vivid sense of sacredness. Mandalas showed Americans a map of consciousness. Mantras offered a rhythm that soothed the nervous system. Visualization practices helped people experience themselves not as broken, but as radiant, wise, and capable of awakening. Through the courage of exiled teachers and the curiosity of Western students, Tibetan Buddhism took root in America, not as a museum piece, but as a living, breathing tradition that continues to grow, evolve, and inspire. As these three great Buddhist traditions spread across America, something extraordinary began to happen, something that had never happened anywhere else in the world. People didn't choose just one path, they explored all of them. In Thailand, you practice Theravada. In Japan, you practice Zen. In Tibet, you practice Vajrayana. But in the United States, a single meditation retreat might include insight meditation from Theravada, silent sitting from Zen, and mantra chanting from Tibetan Buddhism, all in the same weekend. America became a meeting place, a crossroads where teachings that had been separated for centuries finally stood side by side. Why did this happen? Because Americans approach spirituality with curiosity and openness. They're not bound by tradition or geography. They want to learn what works, what heals, what transforms, what brings peace. Some people come to Theravada for clarity, and then discover the compassion of Mahayana. Others begin with Zen, and later feel drawn to the energy and symbolism of Vajrayana. And many simply weave the practices together, creating a path that fits the shape of their own lives. This blending has created something entirely new, a modern American Buddhism that is flexible, experimental, and deeply personal. But this freedom also comes with risks. When teachings are mixed without proper guidance, they can lose their depth. When practices are sampled too quickly, the wisdom behind them can become diluted. Some traditional teachers worry that without commitment to a single lineage, students may miss the transformation that comes from long-term practice. Yet others believe this blending reflects the original spirit of Buddhism, a tradition that has always adapted, always evolved, always responded to the needs of the people and cultures it encountered. In America, Buddhism is not frozen. It is alive. It is reshaping itself. It is becoming a shared space where insight, compassion, and transformation can coexist. And in that coexistence, something new is emerging. A spiritual landscape where the strengths of all three traditions can be experienced together, creating a wider, more inclusive path for anyone seeking awakening. Even though Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana may look different on the surface, beneath it all they share the same heart. They all begin with the same question. Why do we suffer? And they all offer the same promise. Freedom is possible. All three traditions honor the Four Noble Truths, the understanding that life contains suffering, that suffering has causes, that it can end, and that there is a path leading to that end. They all honor the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And they all speak of awakening, not as a distant dream, but as a real transformation of the mind and heart. What truly differs is not the destination, but the emphasis along the way. Theravada emphasizes clarity, seeing reality as it is without illusion. Mahayana emphasizes compassion, opening the heart to the suffering of all beings. Vajrayana emphasizes transformation, using every experience, even the difficult ones, as fuel for awakening. Three paths, three languages, three approaches to the same truth. And when Americans encounter all three, they begin to understand something beautiful. that Buddhism is not a single road, but a mountain with many trails, and every trail, when walked sincerely, leads upward. This shared heart, this unity beneath diversity, is what allows Buddhism to grow, adapt, and remain alive in a changing world. As Buddhism continues to evolve in America, a new question quietly rises. One that challenges everything we think we know about the traditions. Did the Buddha intend only one path, or did he teach different methods for different kinds of minds? When scholars look at the earliest Buddhist texts, they find something surprising. Even in ancient India, the Buddha taught in many styles, gentle for some, analytical for others, powerful and direct for those who were ready. He adapted to each person standing before him. If this is true, then perhaps the diversity we see in America isn't a mistake. Perhaps it's a continuation of what the Buddha was already doing, offering a path shaped to the needs of the seeker. And in America, people are discovering this truth for themselves. Some resonate with the discipline and clarity of Theravada. Some feel called to the compassion and service of Mahayana. And others are drawn to the depth and symbolic richness of Vajrayana. Instead of asking, which tradition is correct, Americans are beginning to ask a different question. Which path speaks to my heart right now in this moment of my life? This shift is changing everything. It moves Buddhism away from division and toward a more inclusive understanding that multiple paths can coexist, support one another, and reveal different facets of the same timeless wisdom. In this way, America is becoming a living experiment, a place where the teachings of the Buddha are rediscovered, reinterpreted, and allowed to evolve naturally, just as they always have. As we stand at the end of this journey, one image returns to mind. 3 monks sitting in silence. Each follows a different path. Each holds a different aspiration. Yet all of them are walking toward the same mountain, the same summit, the same awakening. America has become a place where these paths meet. A place where clarity, compassion, and transformation are woven together. A place where anyone, no matter who they are or where they come from, can discover a version of Buddhism that speaks to their life, their struggles, and their longing for peace. The question now is simple. Which path speaks to you? Are you drawn to the steady insight of Theravada, the boundless compassion of Mahayana, or the powerful transformation of Vajrayana? There is no right or wrong answer, only the path that opens your heart, the path that helps you see clearly, the path that brings you home. If this journey resonated with you, feel free to like the video, subscribe for more explorations, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice, your questions, your curiosity, they help us continue these journeys together. Thank you for watching, and may your path, whichever one you choose, lead you toward peace, insight, and a deeper understanding of yourself.